Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the War Room. It is 2:08 a.m., and I am here with you, and you alone, and we are going to talk about solo board gaming. So, what makes a good solo board game? It was striking me in a kind of weird way. I was playing Versailles 1919, and good game, by the way. I played it with 3 players, I played it with 2, now I've played it with solo. Um, some games are just completely different when you play solo. Some games are designed to be solo. I I want to get your idea as to what you think a good solo board game is. Sometimes the game has a storyline. Sometimes it's simply an evaluation game. Like, if you get this many points, you did great. If you get this many game points, you did bad. What makes a good solo game for you? It's just bothering me because Versailles 1919 was kind of a terrible solo player experience. Well, it wasn't terrible. I don't want to say that. I think that's a bad word to use. It was different. It's a completely different game than when you play the actual 3 player, 4 player game, right? Elements have changed because you're playing the role of all 3 superpowers, but for the purposes of gaining victory points. It's strange. In fact, it's going to be very hard to explain it, right? But anyway, I brought up a couple of games here. So this is, look at that. Wow, that guy's got the whole expansion and everything. Um, this is the Hunters. I own this game as well. The Hunters, the U-boat. I'm a big fan of U-boat games. The Hunters is a really nice game. It is an evaluation game. You get so many points, you win. But there's a lot of RPG elements involved in it, which I really appreciate. You gain awards. Your crew members will die. You'll get new crew members, which are new, which will affect the overall experience of your crew as you play them. He's got the expansion, which goes all over the different parts. Yeah, he actually made this pretty decent. Yeah, look at all this stuff. Everybody's got a whole bunch of different ways of playing this game. Yeah, I like that. The Hunters is a complete solo game. It was designed that way. You can play with another player. You can do what's called the wolf pack scenario, which allows you to play together, hunting convoys together or what have you, or go your separate way. But I think it's just kind of weird being in another room with another dude playing a different game experience than you. But this is a very good game. I'm a huge U-boat fan. Okay, this is the regular submarine layout that you get. The other stuff I don't know about. All right. Hostage Negotiator. Here you go. Hostage Negotiator, another one. That's another very much an evaluation game. Very good. I also own this as well. It is a good, I like to call it a cup of coffee game, where you get some coffee, you play the game, you relax for a little bit, you attempt to quell the scenario, and do whatever you need to get the best score, and then you're done. It's a very nice game to play, but this isn't I don't take this very serious. There we go. Yeah, beautiful cards. Okay. Now here's Versailles 1919. Versailles 1919 is a very beautiful game, and I enjoyed playing it with multiple players. Right. The only problem is when you play it solo, you are playing all 3 powers. You're playing everybody. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to advance up the... here, let me see if I get a picture of it. People do so many cool things to add. Let's see if I can't find it. Okay, so this track down here, you have these different chits that you place all the way to the end, and the objective is to gain points for each side and kind of scroll together. As you're going up the chain here, you don't want to be too far away from each other. You want to be in the lead. So you pick a nation that you're in charge of, and then you'll stay in charge of that nation for the entire game until one of your issues becomes unsettled. Once it does, then you become the lowest pointed country. Let's see. Yeah, so for example, if It would be the Great Britain, right? They'd have the lowest points, or you'd have to pick between U.S. and Great Britain over here, and then you'd become that nation, and then you have to rebuild yourself back up. And every time your little nation chit, these aren't the chits, these are the happiness chits, but if you have your nation's strength chits are above everybody else's, you'll get a victory point at the start of your turn as the British nation. And that keeps going back and forth throughout the whole game. So basically what you're trying to do is you're trying to avoid a situation where, one nation's really far behind and the other nation is way far ahead, because then you have issues. You'll never gain points. You're constantly fighting to get ahead again. It's just a completely different game. It just doesn't ring the same bell. Verse 1919. Then you come up to games like this War of Mine, which to me is the better game as far as solo goes. It tells a story, right? It's telling you something, what's going on. It's telling you how you're miserable and what bad things you are experiencing as the survivors during a civil war, right? And the problem is that they make it so that you can play with 6 people, 5 or 6 people, but that it's a total bullshit number. I think they did that just to sell to people. No, this is a 1-player game. I mean, you could have 3 people and make decisions together, but it really is unnecessary. This guy's bored. I mean, you look at that, he's bored. Because if he's making all the decisions for that turn, then he's just sitting there and he's just putting in his input. And then maybe, just maybe, he'll have something to say until it's his turn. Then he'll have the say, and then this guy will be bored. No, it's a 1-player game. It's a good game. It's a very good storytelling game. And I do enjoy this War of Mine. I probably would never get rid of that. It's in my armory. This is the video game. Yeah, very nice. And then finally, we've got this War of Mine. I had another one. I think I got rid of it. What's another? I'm trying to think what other games are out there. Oh, Dune Imperium. Let's bring that up. So now you have a solo game. Now, this can be played solo. I've played Dune Imperium solo, and it's actually a very challenging game. The difference between this and a regular built solo game is the fact that you get a separate deck. It's called House of Gaul, and House of Gaul makes decisions for your opponent. Now, if you're playing solo, you're going to get 2 more bots, and all they do with their pieces, they just take over the zones here, and you just can't go there. So they're just blockers, and then I think they take the spice away. If you have any added spice in these regions, they just go away when they take over. It is challenging. It is very fun. But again, it lacks that flavor. It's just random pulling from a card, seeing where he goes, and see what happens. Now, that's another thing, too, that you see in a lot of these solo games is they'll use a deck of cards, or they'll use the same deck that everybody else uses, and instead of there being a conscientious decision or a flow chart, there is nothing. Right? It's just simply okay, you pull this card, now do that. So it's a random, there's no AI to it, which of course I understand. It's cardboard, it's pieces of paper, but you think we've come along where we could make it a little bit more spicier, where you feel you're actually going up against more of a computer. But no, we don't have that yet. But Dune Imperium is good. I do like this game. I don't mind playing this solo. Now here's another one for you. I just had one, Dune. I'm trying to think of the other one I had that I really enjoyed. Oh, yeah. Empire of the Sun. Okay, so Empire of the Sun is by Mark Herman. If you don't know who he is, shame on you. Okay, Mark Herman is a master at World War II games, and he's good at CGG games. This is a card-driven game that's also a hex encounter game, and I think he's kind of one of the first ones to really make it good. I mean, other people have done this, but I think he's the one that made it really work well. And the reason why the bots work so well in this game is because the cards he uses. Okay, the cards that he uses, beautiful map, by the way. Let's see if I can find some cards. Come on. the cards he uses have multiple uses, and they're divided up into different. Yeah, they're divided up into different categories, right? And so you could always use them for at any time. No matter how bad the hand is, there's a way to use them and make something work, like an offensive or what have you. And that's the beauty of his game, is that when he uses the bot, when you play as a Japanese or the U.S., it's not just one, okay? And there's the randomness. There is no randomness. You actually pick the cards, and the bot has a hand of cards like you do, right? And so you select the card based on the flow chart, based on the scenario that's going on. The Japanese have a certain strategy, and then the allies have a certain strategy. So when you play the different bots, they have different plans and strategies altogether, and they pick the cards based on what's going on the board state, which is ingenious, because now I feel like I'm playing against an actual AI computer, because I get to see, now even though I get to see his hand of cards, I don't know what the computer is going to pick until I see what the board is going to do. Beautiful pieces. So for me, I think that was the most masterful way of doing a CDG solo game. You're not just pulling a random card and then seeing what happens. You get to see the cards. There's a bunch of them in your hand, and you get to see exactly what happens. But you don't know what gets picked. It's just a different beast. I think I'm rambling. I'm sorry. Okay. I'm trying to think if there's any other. Oh yeah, here's one of my classics here. Labyrinth. Okay. So Labyrinth, I own this as well. This is a good game. I do like this game, but solo, it just doesn't have the same feeling. So, and nothing against Voco. He's awesome. He's got some great stuff here. Unlike Empire of the Sun, where your opponent gets a bunch of cards in his hand, Labyrinth does not. You just take from the deck, right? Same thing. You just take from the deck, and whatever happens. You roll dice, which already makes that random as it is, okay? And then, yeah, you're just waiting for to see what happens, and it just dulls the experience in my particular sense of things. So, yeah, I'm not liking that too much. Solo games, it's just, I play a lot of war games, right? And so I play war games solo, and so that's me playing against myself, basically. But there's a lot of good war games out there where it's different from both sides, right? So no matter what happens, I'm not playing the same game over and over when I go back and forth on the turns, right? But it just seems like there's just no perfection in AI anywhere, specifically for card-driven games or any other kind of games out there that doesn't use just a war game setting. So I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you think is a good solo game? What is required to have a good solo game, right? Is it a evaluation system? Is it just a storytelling where there's no points? It's just, hey, just see what happens. Do you pull cards from a random deck? Do you do like Empire of the Sun and you have, an actual system and a flow chart? You tell me. So I just wanted to kind of rant and rave. So you guys have a good night. I will talk to you. Just be good to each other, be good to yourselves, and stay healthy.